The summer transfer window is just around the corner, and while everyone seems to be focused on what players to bring in, it's also important to talk about some players that must leave. At top clubs around Europe, some players have already confirmed that they'll be leaving their clubs at the end of the season, like Bernardo Silva, Mo Salah, John Stones, and David Alaba. But it is still important for these clubs, as well as their other counterparts, to make a few sales for one reason or another. Who are those players and why must they be sold? We'll find out in this video today. This is one player your favourite club must sell this summer. We'll start with PSG. The European champions need to sell Bradley Barcola this summer. We believe that they are sitting on a goldmine right now, but it won't be this way for too long. The longer Barcola sits on the bench, the more his value continues to drop. It is for this reason that we think PSG should just let him go this summer and get as much money as they can from his sale. The Frenchman's stocks are at an all-time high right now. He is young, fast, skillful, and is being chased by a lot of top clubs around Europe. If a bidding war ensues, PSG could end up making north of €100 million from his sale. Considering Enrique seems to have made the decision that Barcola is not a starter in his team, it's only wise that they sell him this summer. And well, there have been rumours that PSG want to sign Alvarez. If they really do, then a Barcola sale becomes even more important. Meanwhile, Liverpool just have to sell Cody Gakpo. Luis Diaz's departure this season showed that Gakpo is not a guy the Reds can depend on, but it feels like the coach still hasn't realised that. Even when Gakpo isn't playing well, Slot still insists on playing him, and that has frustrated the fans so much. Some have even suggested that it could be because they are fellow countrymen. Gakpo's form in front of goal has gotten worse, and he doesn't really contribute defensively. Honestly, he feels like a liability right now, and we think it's best for the club to just let go of him and go out for a new left winger like Diomande Barcola or Nico Williams. Then the teenager Rio can act as backup. With the way Gakpo's form has continued to drop, if Liverpool don't sell him this summer, they might end up letting him for a miserly sum whenever they eventually decide to, and that's simply not wise. It will also not be wise for Man United to go into the new season with Mason Mount still on their team. The Englishman just has to be sold right away. He currently earns £150,000 per week, but as per a clause in his contract, that number is set to increase significantly if he stays next season. A clause in Mount's contract stipulates that his weekly wage goes up to £250,000 if Man United return to the UEFA Champions League. And well, with United having secured qualification for that tournament, you know what that means. Mount has now been at United for 3 years and has contributed virtually nothing to the club. It would be crazy for them to reward him with a higher salary for doing nothing. They'd be better off just cutting their losses and letting him go for whatever amount this summer. Another midfielder who should be sold this summer is Martin Odegaard. The Arsenal captain has been pretty underwhelming of late, and with Eberechi Eze now at the club, it might be a good time for Arsenal to move on from the Norwegian. Odegaard is not at the level he used to be at, and his recent injury issues have made him less and less available to the club. Considering he turns 29 next year, this feels like a very good time to make some money from his sale. And let's face it, he's one of the most dispensable players at the club who will generate some money. With Eze, Havertz, Daumann, Saka and Nwaneri able to play his role well, Arsenal can sell him without even bothering to spend on a replacement. It feels like a deal that just has to happen. He is also one of the highest earners at the club, so this would be a good way for Arsenal to save a lot of money. Yeah, Gabriel Jesus is also a high earner at the club, but he's already pretty much confirmed to leave this summer anyway, so there's really no point mentioning him. And from one London club to another, let's talk about Chelsea. They need to sell Enzo Fernandez this summer. The Argentine has been flirting with Real Madrid and other top clubs, and it's just clear that his mind is drifting away from the club. On top of that, Chelsea won't be returning to the Champions League this season, and that could make him drift even more. We think the best thing would be for Chelsea to just sell him to the highest bidder and move on from him. If a really good offer comes for him, they just have to listen. They really would not like to force a player who doesn't want to stay, because that could even further tank his value. Under the current ownership, Chelsea have proven to be a selling club, so we believe that this is an opportunity they should not let pass them by, especially if a really good offer comes up. An Enzo sale could also fund some signings that they need to make for whoever the new manager would actually need. Let's now move to Barcelona. This might come as a shock to a lot of people, but we actually think that they have to sell Raphinha this summer. He has obviously been one of the club's best players in the last couple of years, and his numbers are through the roof. but we hear that a couple Saudi clubs are ready to go into a bidding war for him this summer, which means that he could go for over 100 million euros. In Barcelona's current financial predicament, that must sound like a miracle. Raphinha turns 30 this year, so he's not a young man anymore. And with his recent injury problems, there's a possibility that his form might experience a huge dip next season. The timing for Raphinha's sale seems just perfect right now. It is surely a huge decision to make, but with Barcelona struggling financially, this is something they just cannot afford to let pass them by. Selling a player for over 100 million euros at this point could really help them build the team they want. And this won't even be the first time we've seen something like this. Liverpool selling Coutinho to Barcelona back in 2018 was a very hard decision to make, but the money from that sale funded a squad rebuild which led them to Champions League success. This could be the same with Raphinha right now, and Barcelona would be wise to not let it pass them by. Up next is Bayern Munich. They just have to sell Min-jae. At this point, he is excess to requirements. He is the highest earning centre-back at the club, and he hardly plays, so we think the best thing would be for them to just sell him off and get another backup centre-back who won't cost them as much. The former Napoli man turns 30 this year, so there's hardly a future there. It's best to just sell him now and get done with it. As for Spurs, they just have to sell Micky van de Ven this summer and get done with it. It seems like he no longer wants to be at the club whether or not they survive relegation, so it's best to just let him go. He is one player who will generate a lot of money for the club, and they will need that to rebuild the team ahead of the new season. Also, although he was largely available this season, he still has a history of injuries, and if he remains in North London and those injuries come back, Spurs might regret not selling him. Let us now talk about Real Madrid. This is another tough one, but we think they have to sell Kylian Mbappe this summer. He is a top player who guarantees goals and brings a lot of commercial value to the club, but it feels like there's now a huge disconnect between the fans and the Frenchman, and it might just be best for the club to cut ties. The petition with a record number of signatures is just very damning, and things can get uglier next season, especially if Jose Mourinho takes over. And we're not exactly blaming Mbappe for anything here. Of course, he does his job by scoring loads of goals and winning games for the team, but the optics just aren't good. It was shortly after he came in that the club just stopped succeeding and the dressing room got divided. This is one where we think that both parties will hugely benefit from going their separate ways. The problem here is that there aren't many clubs in the world who can afford to buy Mbappe and pay his wages. So we'll admit that this will be very difficult to pull off. We'll now wrap up with Manchester City. We think they have to sell Phil Foden. This season has shown us that he is no longer the guy at City. Turkey has come in and taken his place, which saw his minutes significantly drop this season. If they keep Foden on the bench for another full season, it could tank his value and they would end up losing him for peanuts. We know that he just signed a new deal with the club, but we still think that the wisest way to go is to sell him right now and get as much money as they can from his departure. Anyway, it is now time to hear from you guys. Who is the one player you think your club must sell this summer and why? Get in the comments and talk to us. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Also, turn on the bell notification so you never miss out on new content. Catch you in the next one. Bye.